Part 24. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 235. At this time, Zionin, Obito, and others also arrived one after another. Has the Ten Tails recovered? Obito breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that Uchiha Madara had controlled the Ten Tails. Originally, he had thought of controlling the Eye of the Moon by himself and did not need the old guy Uchiha Madara to be resurrected. However, the pressure put on him by Hinata Naruto was too big. If it was just him, although he was very unwilling to bear it, but, he was indeed not strong enough. Therefore, Obito agreed to Black Zetsu's arrangement for Uchiha Madara. Fortunately, the Ten Tails has recovered now. Although the next it may be Uchiha Madara who leads the Eye of the Moon project, but as long as the infinite Tsukuyomi can be realized, he will be satisfied. The dream of creating a world with Lin has come true. Obito, you have disappointed me a little. It seems that I thought highly of you at first. Uchiha Madara said condescendingly to Obito. He only caught a few tailed beasts, but he actually achieved this kind of virtue. 14. I am really ashamed of those kaleidoscopes. Obito's face darkened, and he snorted coldly and said. Wait until you deal with Hinata Naruto first. He will be the biggest obstacle to the Eye of the Moon plan. Uchiha Madara didn't care. Just a junior of the Hyuga clan. Having the Samsara Eye and controlling the Ten Tails. Uchiha Madara's confidence is now almost inflated to the extreme. Even if the legendary Sage of Six Paths is resurrected, Uchiha Madara dares to fight him. What is the Moon Eye project? Tiendao Pain on the opposite side heard this word and asked with a cold face. Are these guys using him as a tool to realize their plans? What a joke. Uchiha Madara briefly explained. After listening. Tendo Pain he scoffed directly. Let everyone enter the dream together? That's ridiculous. What's the difference between doing this and directly killing everyone in the ninja world? If you don't wake up from a dream, you're dead. Tisk, Uchiha Madara shook his head and said, forget it, judging from your appearance, you probably don't intend to obey me. In this case, I will kill you directly, then I will kill you directly and get my eyes back. In an instant. The atmosphere almost dropped to freezing point. Several people present, Uchiha Madara, Black and White Zetsu, and Uchiha Obito, are in the same camp. And the only one who can confirm that he is in the same camp as Nagato is Konan. The remaining two, Mikagaki Kisame and Kakuzu looked at the tense atmosphere, but felt a little at a loss. Uchiha Obito looked at Kisame who did not express his position, frowned, and said. Kisame, it's time to show your attitude. Only by following us can we realize the beautiful world of dreams. He relied on this to persuade Kisame and instigated him to kill the Watermelon Mountain Fuguo Ni. However, when Kisame heard this, he almost wanted to curse. He was originally a Kirigakure ninja, but because of being this damn bastard seduced and betrayed the fourth Mizukage, and finally had to defect from Kirigakure village and join the Akatsuki organization. Now the world is getting worse and worse, and it's all because of this guy. Taking a long breath, Kisame said. In the battle between you, with my little strength, I can't help you at all. I don't care anymore. No matter what the Eye of the Moon plan is or what plan the tailed beast weapons are to intimidate the ninja world, it has nothing to do with me. Kisame's meaning is very obvious. He is too weak. Why do you guys have to let his team do the fighting? He slipped away. Everyone on the side looked at the station. Uchiha Madara, who was above the Ten Tails, expressed his position very simply. I'm only interested in money, and I don't care what you plan to do with the ninja world in the future. What a joke. Regarding Uchiha Madara's strength, Kakuzu can be said to be the one who knows the best about Uchiha Madara's strength. The Senju Hashirama back then easily suppressed him. So, of course, it would be easy for Uchiha Madara, who is as famous as Senju Hashirama, to suppress him. 027 Let him deal with Uchiha Madara? Impossible, absolutely impossible. If Nagato wants to fight, he will fight. Anyway, he escaped first. After saying that, Kakuzu and Kisame looked at each other and started running away from Kumogakure village. The next battle that breaks out here is not something they can participate in, and even watching the battle at close range may be affected. Slipping away. Konan looked at the two people who ran away decisively, and his eyebrows almost stood up. Forget about Kisame, Kakuzu is a veteran of the Akatsuki organization, and he actually ran away like this. Forget it, Zionin, I don't blame them. Unexpectedly, Tendo Pain is quite calm at the moment. Otherwise, let them deal with Uchiha Madara who controls the Ten Tails. Zionin, go to Ankan and evacuate Yuyan village. Tendo Pain's face showed an angry look and said. I want to prove to him that I am not his pawn of Uchiha Madara, and I will not make it easy for him even if I die. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 236. Zionin wanted to persuade her again, but looking at Pain's appearance, there was no possibility of him being swayed. He glanced angrily at Uchiha Madara, who was standing above the Ten Tails, then flapped his wings and flew away to lead the villagers of Kumogakure village to evacuate here. Ah! Uchiha Madara chuckled lightly and had no intention of stopping him. They are just a group of villagers from the Hidden Rain village. Even if all the ninjas among them add up, they are not enough to defeat him with 3 or 2 ninjutsu. There is no need to care at all. You look like this, do you want to fight me to the death? Use the reincarnation I gave you. Uchiha Madara had a joking smile on his face. Although he was almost dead of old age when he awakened the Rinnegan, he also briefly developed the ability of the Rinnegan. As for Nagato, although he could rely on the blood of the Uzumaki clan and is good with his talent, he exerted the power of the Samsara Eye. But if you want to compare with him, the real master of the Samsara Eye, it is far behind. Pain did not answer, and the 6 paths rushed towards the place where the main body was. Hidden underground, the secret room was suddenly broken open by the repulsive force, and Nagato's body floated out with difficulty due to the repulsive force. His feet were injured and unable to move, so he could only rely on the repulsive force of the Rinnegan to walk. Nagato suddenly closed his hands. Shouted loudly. In an instant, Pain's 6-path chakra was transmitted back along the black rod inserted on it. All the chakra was gathered on the main body. The earth explodes and the sky stars. As Nagato roared with all his strength, a pocket-sized black sphere, with a breathtaking shimmer of light, floated out from Nagato's hand and quickly rushed into the sky. Facing the original owner of the Samsara Eye, Uchiha Madara, Nagato did not underestimate him at all. The regular moves of the Rinnegan are impossible to match. Only this move, the legendary Sage of 6 Paths created the Moon's Earth Blast Star, could seal Uchiha Madara. The black sphere that flew hundreds of meters into the air glowed brightly, and infinite gravity exploded. The earth of Yuyan village was directly torn apart. Houses and land were all attracted upwards. Even the Ten Tails began to standing unsteadily, it looks like he will be attracted to float up. Earth explosion sky star is pretty powerful. Uchiha Madara commented in a leisurely manner, and the Samsara eyes in his eyes suddenly degenerated back into the shape of an eternal kaleidoscope. However, I know more about this trick than you do. The gravitational core of the Earth explosion star is the most fragile when it is just taking shape. If the gravitational core can be defeated at this time, the Earth explosion star will not be able to continue. Read Bao's Huang novels and Fly Up Lu novel network. If you wait until the gravitational core is wrapped with a sufficiently thick defense, then you want to attack, it's difficult. Megatama of Yasaka. Uchiha Madara stood on top of the Ten Tails and opened the dark blue Susanoo. 9 blue Megatama reappeared in the hands of the Susanoo giant. They were connected end to end and formed a circle. They were suddenly thrown by the Susanoo giant. The Megatama rings connected end to end drew a dark blue arc in the sky, and suddenly hit the gravitational core of the Earth explosion star. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion broke out. The gravity of the Earth explosion star disappeared instantly, and the initial shape of the Earth explosion star, the gravity core, was shattered by this terrifying explosion. This. Nagato was dumbfounded. His strongest move, Earth explosion star, was broken so easily. What's that move? The farce has to end, Nagato. Uchiha Madara put away Susanoo's money, crossed his arms and said. Nagato gradually regained his mind, and at this moment he finally understood the gap in strength between the two sides. Such exaggeration is completely disappointing. Even if I destroy it, I still can't let you bastards succeed. With an angry shout, Nagato suddenly poked his own eyes. These bastards who had fooled him all his life, even if he died, he couldn't make it easier for them. Suddenly, the hungry ghost Deo Laozi, who had his chakra taken back, fell. Suddenly jumped up, rushed in front of Nagato, and tightly controlled Nagato's arms. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 237. Nagato's expression changed drastically, and he didn't even realize what was going on. Why did the hungry ghost suddenly attack him? Soon, Nagato suddenly realized the idea of Obito, who suggested that he make Lao Zi into Pain's 6 paths. This is the backhand left by Uchiha Obito's group of guys. The purpose is to control him at the critical moment. Asshole! Nagato cursed, reluctantly activated his chakra, and tried to fly away. The old purple bullet wrapped around him. However, some strange fluid crawled onto his body. Stop struggling, Nagato. Black Zetsu slowly covered Nagato's body. It's your honor to be able to contribute to the Eye of the Moon Project 747. Black Zetsu's ability was unleashed and he gradually took control of Nagato's body. Black Zetsu, you bastard! Nagato's anger swelled to the extreme. He struggled hard, but was unable to resist at all. He could only watch as Black Zetsu took control of his body. Hungry Ghost Deo Laozi also released his control on Nagato's body at this time. Nagato was controlled by Black Zetsu and began to form seal slowly. The art of reincarnation. Brush. Yama appeared, opening his bloody mouth. A green light with the breath of life protruded from it, flew into the sky, and submerged into Uchiha Madara's body. Buzz. A stream of water vapor rose. Uchiha Madara almost moaned out of comfort. Boom. 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 The heart is beating. The blood is flowing. Ha 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 ha. Uchiha Madara burst into a burst of heart-rending laughter. The feeling of being alive made him extremely happy. He could finally fight happily again. Click. The position of his eyes. The original Rinnegan suddenly turned into confetti and scattered on the ground. Cut. Uchiha Madara curled his lips. Below, Black Zetsu reached out his hand and easily took off Nagato's eyes. Nagato, your mission is over. Nagato, who was almost exhausted of chakra and was manipulated to forcibly perform the art of reincarnation, is still exhausted at this moment and his breath is weak. You guys, bastards. However, no matter how sad and angry Nagato was, there was nothing he could do in the end. Nagato, Nagato. In his blur of consciousness, he seemed to hear Xiaonan's voice. Xiaonan, who arranged for the villagers of Yuyan village to evacuate here, just arrived and saw Nagato breathing his last breath. Even the reincarnation eye was taken away. Uchiha Madara, Uchiha Obito, Zetsu. Zionan's anger swelled to the extreme. You damn guys, what do you think we are? The reincarnation I was transplanted to Nagato when he was a child. And later, Uchiha Obito used the name of Uchiha Madara to contact Yahiko, Nagato, and her. I'm afraid it was completely calculated. Now it seems that Yahiko's death, the first generation the Akatsuki organization was wiped out, and it had nothing to do with these bastards. Seeing this, Obito Uchiha mocked disdainfully. Nagato has failed, and you are the only one left. Do you still want to struggle? He has no interest in Xiaonan. If this woman runs away in despair, he has no intention of taking care of it. Now it seems that this woman is looking for death. You damn bastards, go to hell. Xiaonan waved his hand, and endless pieces of paper were flying underground in Yuyan village. There were pieces of paper flying everywhere in a radius of 1,000 meters. Is this a detonating talisman? The whole White Zetsu was dumbfounded. How many detonating charms are there in the sky? When did this woman Konan hide so many detonating charms? Is she going to blow up the entire ninja world? Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 238. At this moment, even Uchiha Madara's expression couldn't help but change color. With so many detonating talismans, he has lived for nearly 100 years, and the sum of all the detonating talismans he has seen is less than 1% of these. If such a number of detonating symbols exploded at the same time, the power would probably be higher than Hashirama's true thousands of hands. This woman is absolutely crazy. There are so many detonating symbols buried underground in Yuyan village. Are you really not afraid of accidentally blowing up yourself and Yuyan village? Uchiha Obito, this was originally prepared for you, 600 billion detonating talismans. Konan controlled the sky-wide detonating talisman and flew in the direction of Uchiha Madara and the Ten Tails. Now, all of you, go to hell. Obito cursed in his heart. 600 billion detonating talismans. This is simply outrageous. Do you want him to die tens of millions of times? Without hesitation, Obito instantly activated the divine power of his right eye, blurring himself. The main body hid in the divine power space. At the same time, with the help of divine power, he rushed on the road, trying to escape from the explosion range as soon as possible. The right eye power only has 5 minutes, so you have to leave as soon as possible during this time. If the divine power is over and you have not left the explosion range, he is going to die again. Don't try to escape. Konan shouted angrily, waving his arms, and the endless detonating talismans locked onto Uchiha Obito and followed him. The earth-shattering explosion began. Damn it! Uchiha Obito cursed angrily, but this voice was drowned in the earth-shattering explosion. On the other side, the same massive detonating talisman drowned the Ten Tails, which was hundreds of meters high. This woman. Uchiha Madara couldn't hold himself any longer. He had never seen such an outrageous move in all his life. He never thought that one day he would be forced to do this by a mere detonating talisman. If he had a dirty earth body before, he doesn't need to be afraid at all. Anyway, the dirty earth body has an immortal body. You can explode it at will. After you blow it up, the dirty earth body will recover. But now he has been resurrected. Just after he was resurrected, he encountered such an outrageous move. Helpless, Uchiha Madara was also worthy of controlling the Ten Tails. All the tails circled over his head, forming an airtight defense. Boom 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 boom, a violent explosion hit the Ten Tails. Uchiha Madara looked at the Ten Tails above the head are trembling, and I don't know if they can defend themselves. At the same time, Susanoo has also been activated. When it comes to defense, reincarnation, the eyes are not as useful as the complete Susanoo of the eternal Mangekyo. The Ten Tails, who was miserable after being blown up by the explosion, let out a painful cry. Finally, after the repeated horrific explosions, the Ten-Tail's tail finally couldn't hold on and collapsed, falling to the ground. Damn it! Uchiha Madara cursed and immediately activated Susanoo to its full form. Madara-sama, are we going to die? Baiju screamed in fright as he looked at the horrific explosion outside. Shut up! Uchiha Madara cursed angrily. He had already seen that more than half of the opponent's detonating talisman had been consumed in the continuous explosions just now. As long as the complete Susanoo holds on and waits until the opponent's detonating talisman is completely consumed. On the other side, Obito's 5 minutes of Kamui time had long passed. 5 minutes later, the body originally hidden in the Kamui space could no longer be hidden and appeared directly in the outside world, and was instantly blown to pieces by the detonating talisman. Uchiha Obito didn't even have time to lament, and could only pray that the explosion would be over before Izanagi finished. But fortunately, if you die too often, you'll get used to it. Having been killed so many times by that bastard Hinata Nariku, Obito has gained experience. And this time, he was blown to pieces in an instant. He didn't even have time to feel the pain before he started reading the note and waited for Fan to be resurrected. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 239. Outside Yuyan Village. The Third Hokage Onaki did not retreat directly. Instead, he took the remaining Iwagakure ninjas and watched the situation in a Megakure village nearby. Although Lao Zi and Han are most likely dead, it would be best to recapture the 4 and 5 tails. I just don't know what happened in Yuyan village. It seems that there is something wrong within the Akatsuki organization. The leader of the Akatsuki organization, who had possibly the eyes of reincarnation, had a sudden change of expression and flew back in a hurry. Something serious must have happened. Then, Onoki saw the terrifying giant beast appearing in the center of Yuyan village from a distance. A height of hundreds of meters. The ominous aura emitted made Onoki afraid to approach him at all. What kind of monster is that? Even when Susanoo faced Uchiha Madara, Onoki had never felt like this. The monster in the center of Yuyan village is simply the incarnation of the power of nature, and it is impossible for anyone to have the courage to fight against it. However, not long after, Onoki saw an even more horrifying scene. Detonating charm. Endless detonating symbols. The detonating symbols flying out from the ground, like dense snowflakes, quickly drowned the huge monster. The number is too exaggerated. The entire area of Yuyan village, up to hundreds of meters high, is full of detonating symbols. Onoki, who saw the scene from a distance, immediately retreated quickly with his men. With so many detonating talismans, Yuyan village could be blown up into the sky in an instant. The continuous explosions lasted for more than 10 minutes. How is the situation now? Did everyone in the Akatsuki organization die together? Huang Tu said in confusion. After such a long-term horrific explosion, it's impossible for anyone to be alive, right? Even a tailed beast can only be killed in the face of such a terrible explosion, and then wait for a few years to find out. Clara reunited and resurrected. Onoki pondered for a moment and said, "No, just wait. What happened recently has seriously exceeded Onoki's cognition. Kumogakure's chakra cannon, the legendary Rinnegan, the terrifying and inexplicable monster, these have exceeded the limits of ordinary ninjas. You can't judge this kind of thing by thinking about ordinary ninjas." Inside Yuyan village. Hateful. Konan cursed unwillingly. Ahead. The dust of the explosion gradually dispersed. A broken dark blue Susanoo appeared. He was originally tall and majestic. Susanoo's complete body was so fierce that he couldn't even stand now. However, he was still able to barely hold on to his defense. Uchiha Madara and Zetsu inside were not affected by the explosion. Haha, You really underestimated the younger generation of ninjas. Uchiha Madara calmed down and said. By continuously extracting the chakra of the ten tails to maintain Susanoo, he could barely withstand such a terrifying explosion. Otherwise, I might really be in trouble. It's our fault for not detecting this. Heizetsu shook his head and said, we focused all our attention on Nagato and didn't notice that Xiaonan actually accumulated so many detonating charms. Besides, there was a fluctuation in the void, and Uchiha Obito appeared with a dark face. The explosion lasted for more than 10 minutes, and he used up 2 Sharingan at once. If he hadn't prepared a few more Sharingan on himself, I'm afraid I have to explain it here today. Izanaga twice in a row. Hyuga Nariku has never made him so embarrassed. Seeing that several enemies are safe and sound, Konan is even more desperate. At this moment, he is still bombed. In the Yuyan village, which emerged from a giant pit, an empty 5.0 passage suddenly appeared out of thin air. This. Obito stirred up his spirit and activated his divine power almost reflexively. He hid in the divine power space and quickly retreated. After doing this, Obito realized what he was doing. Damn it! How can he be so skilled? He raised his head and faced forward. Looking at the space passage, sure enough, I saw a familiar figure. That bastard Hinata Nariku. Obito, why do you back away when you see me? You make me very sad. Hyuga Nariku said with a smile. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 240. Obito cursed in his heart, but his face remained unmoved. Why did he back away? You bastard, don't even count the times I've used Izanagi on you. It's simply a blood feud. Oh, by the way, Obito, there is something I forgot to tell you. Hyuga Nariku looked at the resurrected Ten-Tails with a smile on his face and said. I came up with an interesting idea before, so I reincarnated the 4th Mizukage, Tachibana Yagura, in advance. The 3 Tails is here with me, and Yagura is also with me. I wonder where Obito got the 3 Tails chakra to resurrect the 10 Tails. In an instant, Obito understood everything. Why did 14's own dirty soil summoning Gaji Yagura fail? It turns out that Yagura has been summoned in advance by this bastard. And the purpose of this bastard summoning Yagura was actually to force him to use Lin to reincarnate in the dirty land to extract the 3-tailed chakra. You damn bastard! Obito finally couldn't help it anymore. His eyes were bloodshot and he cursed angrily. But he still didn't dare to step forward. After being defeated so many times, Obito still understood the gap between the two sides very well. Gee, what a brat with a bad personality. Uchiha Madara probably understood it, shook his head and sighed. Obito is really not good at this kid. He was completely toyed with by applause. Junior, you are the Hyuga Nariku. It is said that Hashirama said that your strength is above the peak of his lifetime. Uchiha Madara crossed his arms and said with a look of disdain. Frankly speaking, Hashirama's evaluation made him very dissatisfied. Hashirama commented that Hinata Nariku was stronger than he was at his peak during his lifetime. Doesn't it mean that in Hashirama's mind, this junior is also stronger than him? Kill yourself? It's just a fluke that I have some strength. Hyuga Nariku didn't mean to deny it, and simply admitted it. Uchiha Madara raised his eyebrows, and the Rinnegan suddenly shook, and he instantly activated the pupil technique. Rinbana Prison. This is the pupil he got after awakening the Rinnegan. Technique. It can separate 4 shadow clones. These clones can display all the abilities of his body, and most people are completely unaware of it. Let's try this pupil technique first. This junior. If he can't even carry the will tomb, then it can only be said that Hashirama has misjudged the person. Ah! Hinatan Naraka chuckled, stretched out his hand and began to gather the Tao Jade. With all due respect, your pupil technique is just an advanced shadow clone. The dark-seeking jade formed into a black iron rod immediately, and he threw it casually. Tisk. The black rod penetrated the ground and didn't seem to hit anything. The few people present, including Zionin, Obito, and Black and White Zetsu, could see confused. Only Uchiha Madara knew that the Rin's Haku clone he had just separated from was stabbed by the strange black rod. Not bad, Hashirama didn't comment randomly. Uchiha nodded, pretending not to care about 093, and planned to take back the Ring Tomb clone. However, the Ring Tomb clone was completely unable to move. Strange. He could only sense the Ring Tomb clone, but he completely lost the ability to control it. Uchiha Madara frowned slightly. I underestimated you. The Ring Tomb clone can't be taken back for the time being. Of course, he can pull out the black rod, and then naturally he can take back the Ring Tomb clone. But that would be too low. He is Uchiha Madara, how could he do this? What an embarrassment. However, the clone of the Will Tomb can only be maintained for a period of time after being separated from the body. When the maintenance time is up, the clone will automatically disappear. This can be regarded as taking it back. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 241. Uchiha Madara looked into Hinatan Naraka's eyes and observed them. It is very similar to the eyes of the ordinary Hyuga clan, except that there is a light blue snowflake-like pattern in the middle. Is this the so-called reincarnation eye? Judging from Hyuga Naraka's awareness of his Rinnenkara clone and the use of the strange gangster to pin his Rinnenkara clone, this reincarnation eye is probably of the same personality as his reincarnation eye. Suddenly, Uchiha Madara felt that he admired this young junior a little. Junior, do you want to complete the Eye of the Moon project with me? Uchiha Madara suddenly invited. There is no Senju Hashirama in this era. If he is alone and there is no one who can let him fight to his heart's content, it would be too boring. The person in front of him is probably from this era. The only one who can fight him, right? Tisk. Hinatan Naraka smiled with disdain. Sorry, I'm not interested in unlimited monthly reading. I think the real world is very interesting, there is no need to go to some dream world. As for the peace you hope for in the ninja world, I will use my power to achieve it, and the ninja world will be unified in my hands. Uchiha Madara's expression became unsightly. Don't be too proud, Junior. I once had the idea of unifying the ninja world, but after I left Konoha, I secretly observed the ninja world for decades. I experienced the most brutal warring states period, and together with Hashirama, I unified the Land of Fire, established Konoha, and witnessed 3 great ninja wars. Finally, I came to a conclusion: the battle between people will never end. Desire and hatred will breed war, and countless lives will be lost. So what if the entire ninja world is unified? There will still be fights. Just like when the Fire Nation was unified and Konoha was established, Hashirama was able to take action against me for Konoha. After hearing this, Hinatan Naraka nodded and said, frankly, there is some truth to what you said. Moreover, I hope to unify the ninja world. I don't hope that this will eliminate all future disputes. I just hope that there will no longer be a war of the level of the Ninja World War. However, Uchiha Madara, do you know where your biggest problem is? Uchiha Madara frowned and asked what? Your biggest problem is that you know too little about this ninja world. Hyuga Naraka replied simply. He thought he was invincible with the Rinnegan, and thought he could achieve permanent peace by using the Ten Tails to achieve infinite moon reading. But the real danger in the ninja world lies in Kaguya sealed in the moon. It lies in the Otsutsuki clan wandering in the starry sky. If everyone is sleeping in a dream, Not to mention Kagaya will be resurrected through this. Let's put it bluntly, what will happen when the Itsutsuki clan arrives in the future? At that time, only one six-path Madara will be able to fight so many Itsutsuki. Are you kidding me? Uchiha Madara's face was dark and he snorted coldly. Junior, I admit that you are indeed quite capable, especially at your age. But when it comes to your knowledge of the ninja world, you are still far from it. Hyuga Naruto shook his head and said, sure enough, I know that for people like you, I still have to beat you down first, beat you to the ground and lie on the ground, dinos, waiting to die, then you can listen. I spoke. Uchiha Madara's face became even more ugly. He was beaten until he was lying on the ground waiting for death? Wasn't this the time when he had just awakened the Eternal Eye, but was defeated by Hashirama and committed suicide with a kunai, making him go down the slope? Why would this junior know such a thing? Could it be Hashirama who told it? No. Impossible, Hashirama couldn't possibly do such a thing, it must be the Senju clan from Senju Tobirama, the evil kid told it. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 242. I guess you want to have a fight with me. Uchiha Madara said proudly. Isn't this what you expected? Hyuga Naruto replied casually. Looking around, he saw Nagato lying behind Konan. Hinata Naruto frowned and walked over. Fortunately, Nagato was still alive. As he walked over, he casually hit Nagato with a burst of Yang escape chakra. In an instant, Nagato's body became more alive. Hinata Naruto looked at it, and simply sent the Buddha to the west, and stretched out his hand on Nagato's body. A touch on the eyes created another pair of eyes for Nagato. Anyway, in his current state, he can only do this kind of thing casually. Nagato. 783. Xiaonan carefully pushed the long door a few times, with some hope in her eyes. I'm still alive. Nagato's weak consciousness gradually recovered, and he got up from the ground. When he saw Hinata Naruto wearing the Hokage god's robe in front of him, his whole body was agitated. Why is this guy here? Nagato, it was the fifth Hokage who saved you. Konan said with gratitude in her voice. There is no need for the Akatsuki organization to continue to exist now. And to kill Uchiha Madara and the others, it is simply impossible for him and Nagato to do it with their own strength. From this point of view, they and Hyuga Naruto have no chance, there would be no conflict. What's more, the other party is Nagato's savior. Uchiha Madara's problem is that he doesn't know anything but dares to do outrageous things. Your problem is that he is too weak. Hyuga Naruto said to Nagato without mercy. Obviously he can't even kill any of the five shadows instantly, but he dares to brazenly claim to be a god. Nagato's face turned red and white. Ever since he mastered the power of the Rinnegan, he has never been so underestimated. And, what do you mean? Can't even kill one of the five shadows instantly? This is the five shadows. Who do you think he is? A strength detection tool? Only those who can kill 5 Kage instantly are considered human? However, the other party just saved his life, so Nagato knew it was good and thanked him with an embarrassed look on his face. Leave immediately, be careful that the next battle will affect you. Hyuga Naruto waved his hands to Nagato, Konan and the two of them, urging them to leave. His battle with Uchiha Madara will be far better than that of the Valley of the End. The battle will be fiercer. The rest of the gang has also withdrawn, Beb, and now it's time for us to decide the winner. Uchiha Madara flew high under the repulsive force, once again stood on top of the Ten-Tails head, and said condescendingly. I'm curious, how can you fight me who has mastered the Ten-Tails? Of course, I can also use the Ten-Tails. After all, this seems to be a bit bullying. Hinata Naruto chuckled, and flew into the high air under the same repulsion. Forget it, you better use it. Otherwise, I'm also worried that the big one is bullying the small one. Bang! His hands suddenly came together. Within 1,000 miles, the natural energy of half of the ninja world instantly began to agitate and converged crazily towards this place. Is this magic? Uchiha Madara's face condensed. After the Battle of the Valley of the End, he also conducted a lot of research on senjutsu, but because he failed to find several holy places, he ultimately failed to master senjutsu. Moreover, after opening the samsara eye, the fear of senjutsu has also become much smaller. However, at this moment, he saw in Hyuga the power of senjutsu that was even greater than that of Hashirama, the end of the year. Although Uchiha Madara does not know senjutsu, he can also sense nature a little bit. Energy. Such a terrifying ability to mobilize natural energy. This junior is probably much stronger than Hashirama. Immediately, Uchiha Madara no longer dared to rely on others, and began to use his full strength. The dark blue Susanoo bloomed, completely enveloping the 10 tails, which is hundreds of meters high. Relying on the continuous drawing of the 10 tails chakra, Uchiha Madara successfully completed the 10 tails powerful Susanoo. And Hinatan Naraku also completed it after accumulating magic chakra. He suddenly shouted. Immortal Dharma Mudahan transforms into a Buddha on top of thousands of hands. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 243. Boom. 1,000-meter-high Buddha rises from the ground, covering the sky and the sun. Countless arms surround the huge Buddha statue, so majestic. After decades, Uchiha Madara saw this move again, and he was full of fighting spirit. I'm not the same person I was at the Valley of the End. It's just a few thousand hands. It's impossible to defeat me again. Although the real 1,000 hands are higher than his powerful 10 tails in terms of height, we cannot judge the strength based on height alone. The 10 tails still survived the previous terrifying explosion that detonated the Sea of Fu, but was slightly damaged. It's just embarrassing. But with thousands of hands, it is absolutely impossible to withstand such a terrifying explosion. After all, it's all Obito's fault. If Obito could gain some energy and capture the tailed beast completely, the 10 tails wouldn't be as big as it is now. He was actually outmatched by thousands of hands. Did you think that was the end of it? Hyuga Naraku smiled jokingly and continued to mobilize chakra. I have mastered yin-yang, 5 elements, and the 7 attributes of chakra to the extreme. It's just Susanoo, I can have it too. Brush. Golden flame-like chakra emerged like substance. The 1,000-armed Buddha, which was 1,000 meters high, was completely wrapped in golden armor. The terrifying chakra fluctuations completely destroyed the cumulus clouds that have been hovering over the land of rain all year round. Dispelled, the celestial phenomena changed. It was almost a magical scene like changing the day. 1,000-meter-tall huge Buddha statue wearing golden armor stood on the land of the Kingdom of Rain. Under the sunlight, it shone like a god. Come into the world. Susanoo is nothing more than shaping the form with the yin release chakra and filling the structure with a massive amount of chakra. With Hinatan Naraku now adding to the extreme yin release chakra, it is basically impossible to open the Susanoo. Easy. Uchiha Madara's expression turned serious at this moment. This junior seems to underestimate him too much. He clearly has mastery of the 10 tails, but he can only rely on the 10 tails chakra to completely wrap the 10 tails with Susanoo. However, Hyuga Naraku relied on senjutsu to easily put the Susanoo armor on Shinsenju. It's not over yet. Hyuga Naraku seemed to feel that Uchiha Madara's shock was not enough. He shouted loudly. In an instant, light blue flame-like chakra enveloped his whole body. Sensagan chakra mode. Buzz. 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 One after another. The Tao-seeking jade appeared behind Hyuga. A total of 11 Tao-seeking jade were arranged in a circle behind him. The 11 Tao-seeking jade began to rotate at high speed, and the bright golden light exploded, and an extremely dazzling golden sword took shape. In just a few breaths, the golden sword continued to extend to thousands of meters long. The golden will reincarnation exploded. The Susanoo statue held the terrifying sword in his hand. He raised it high and aimed at the Susanoo Tentails, who was obviously not of the same level as him below. Uchiha Madara's mind was already tense to the extreme at this moment. Although he didn't know what the black sphere was, he still felt a huge sense of oppression. Every black ball is made of massive amounts of chakra. It can be said that the chakra content of any one of those black spheres is no less than that of an ordinary tailed beast. It is completely conceivable how powerful the golden sword formed by 11 black spheres must be. "Come and fight, Hyuga." Uchiha Madara yelled. At this moment, he has fully recognized the junior opposite him. Hashirama's evaluation is absolutely correct. In fact, the evaluation is a bit conservative. With the strength shown by Hinata Nariku at this moment, he can even crush him. He and Hashirama teamed up during the Battle of the Valley of the End. But at this moment, he is no longer the same person as he was during the Battle of the Valley of the End. He has Hashirama's cells, the Rinnegan Eye, and the Tentails. Although the opponent's power is extremely terrifying, it is still possible to fight. Boom! The dark blue Susanoo harnessed the Tentails and began to run on the land of rain, rushing towards the Susanoo Buddha statue opposite. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 244. A dark blue Susanoo, hundreds of meters tall. 1,000-meter-long Buddha statue wearing golden armor and holding a golden sword. Standing on the land of the Kingdom of Rain. These two terrifying giants can be clearly seen for hundreds of miles. The terrible earthquake from the distance can be felt within 1,000 miles. For such a huge giant, just walking is almost like an earthquake. What happened to this world? Onaki, who was running away like crazy, couldn't help but doubt his life. After seeing 827 appearing on the towering Buddha statue, Onaki almost stopped thinking. Isn't this the ninja world he is familiar with? Is it? Are you dreaming? However, after just a short moment of confusion, Onaki came back to his senses and yelled at the remaining Iwagakure ninjas, telling everyone to escape from this place immediately. As fast as possible. How much can you escape? How far to escape? A battle between giants of this level, even within a radius of 100 miles, is not safe. The slightest fallout will leave them dead. Boom! A terrifying vibration is heard. On the ground the running Onoki and Iwagakure ninjas staggered and fell to pieces. Boom! A fierce storm hit, and Deidara, who was flying in the air on a clay bird, was blown around and fell to the ground. Ahem, damn it, it was blown down by the wind. Deidara climbed up from the bushes and looked at the smashed clay bird. He was furious. His outstanding work of art was overturned by the storm caused by the aftermath of someone else's battle. What a shame. This is really art. Looking back, Deidara instantly became obsessed. A huge Buddha statue wearing golden armor, holding an equally golden sword in his hand, was almost more dazzling than the sun. Such a picture is simply too artistic. Deidara, don't be in a daze, stand up and keep running. Onoki cursed loudly. What's wrong with this kid? What kind of art is he still thinking about appreciating at this time? Old man, that golden armored Buddha statue is too cool. What kind of ninjutsu is that? Can I get one done too? Deidara couldn't help but ask. If he could master such a beautiful ninjutsu and then explode it, that would be perfect. The power must be terrifying to think about. I'm afraid the entire ninja world will appreciate such a thing together. An explosion. Art is your size. Onoki knocked Deidara over with a big blow, and thought about continuing to escape with Deidara. Although this disciple made him very worried, he had to admit that Deidara was the most talented young man in Iwagakure. No one can match his explosive escape, far surpassing anyone in Iwagakure. There may be hope to inherit his dust escape in the future. No matter how much he is not allowed to worry about it, Deidara cannot be allowed to die in a place like this. On the other side, Nagato and Konan ran away like crazy. A battle of this level is too exaggerated, right? Nagato couldn't help but clicked his tongue and said. Their battle is too exaggerated, and if this continues, the entire kingdom of Rain may be destroyed. While Xionin was running away, she still didn't forget to worry about her hometown. It's not just a problem for the land of Rain anymore, Nagato shook his head and said with a wry smile, the battle has just begun, and it has already reached this level. If the two of them keep fighting like this, the entire ninja world may be in danger of being destroyed. When he thought of this, Nagato felt ashamed and regretful. In the past, after he mastered the power of the Samsara Eye, he thought that he was invincible and claimed to be a god. However, now he was attacked by Uchiha Madara and Hinata Naruto one after another. A lesson. Compared with the power of these two people who can destroy the ninja world, the little strength he had in the past was simply not enough. In the past, he might have been instantly destroyed just by appearing in the center of the battlefield. Suddenly, the continuous terrifying shocks and storms disappeared. What happened? Conan stopped in confusion and looked back, only to see two giants, one blue and one gold, still fighting. But the shock of the battle disappeared. It was as if the battle in the distance had become a fantasy. That's good, at least their fight shouldn't affect others. Nagato couldn't help but sigh.